Room 12 started flooding a little after midnight, right when the rain got so loud I could barely hear the phone ringing. I had a man in a ball cap yelling at me across the front desk because water was coming out from under his bathroom door, and behind him the old boiler was thumping from the utility room like somebody was kicking it with a boot. "I paid for a dry room," he snapped, slapping his key card on the counter. "That too much to ask around here?" I was 22, wearing a Motel polo with one missing button, and I had a plunger, a ring of keys, and about $60 in my checking account. So no, I did not have a clean answer for him. "Sir, I'm moving you to room 9, I said, already grabbing towels from the shelf behind me. "I'll comp the night once Mrs. Stevenson gets here. I don't want a speech. I want my stuff not floating." "It's not floating," I said, then heard something crash down the hall and added, "Probably." That did not help. The motel sat off State Highway 47. Outside a town most people only stopped in because they needed gas, coffee, or a place to sleep before driving on. 12 rooms in a long L shape, buzzing sign out front, cracked ice machine, vending machine that stole quarters, and a laundry room that smelled like bleach no matter how much I cleaned it. I lived in a little room behind that laundry area. It was barely bigger than a storage closet, but Valerie Stevenson let me stay there cheap because I handled nights and fixed what I could. Toilets, bulbs, locks, clogged drains, angry truckers, late check-ins, whatever came up. That night, everything came up at once. I ran down to room 12 with a stack of towels under one arm and my tool bag banging against my leg. The guest followed me, still talking, still mad. Rain blowing sideways across the walkway behind him. Water was spreading over the tile bathroom floor and out onto the carpet. It had already soaked the little bath mat. The sink cabinet was open, and under it, a thin hard stream was spraying sideways from the pipe like somebody had poked a hole in a garden hose. "Great," I muttered. I dropped to my knees, shoved towels against the baseboard, and reached under the sink for the shutoff valve. It fought me at first, stiff and gritty, then finally turned. The spray slowed, spit once and stopped. The guest kept standing in the doorway breathing hard. "Room 9, I said. "I'll help move your bags." Before he could answer, headlights swept across the window. A white SUV pulled up fast outside the office, tires hissing on wet pavement. Valerie Stevenson came in wearing jeans tucked into boots, a dark coat thrown over a sleep shirt, and her hair tied back like she had done it in the car. She was 41, though she never looked the same age 2 days in a row. Some mornings she looked sharp and put together. Some nights, like this one, she looked like the whole motel had been pressing down on her face. She stepped into room 12, saw the water, saw the guest, then looked at me under the sink. "Tell me it's the supply line," she said. "It's the fitting under the sink." The guest threw up both hands. "Does that matter to me?" Valerie turned to him with that tight smile she used when she was one bad sentence from losing it. "Mr. Keller, Alex is moving you to room 9. I'm taking the night off your bill. I'll also have your clothes dried if anything got wet. My suitcase is wet. Then we'll dry what we can." He stared at her like he wanted to keep going, but she stood there soaked from the rain, jaw set, eyes tired, and I guess even he ran out of steam. I helped him haul his bags across the walkway. When I came back, Valerie was kneeling by the bathroom door, pressing towels into the carpet with both hands. "Boiler's banging too," I said. She closed her eyes for half a second. "Of course it is. I'll check it after this." "Of course you will," she said, but not mean, just tired. I crawled back under the sink with my flashlight. The cabinet smelled like wet particle board and old cleaner. I expected the fitting to be cracked or rusted, because most things in that motel were one twist away from falling apart. But this one looked different. The nut was backed off. Not much, just enough. I touched it with 2 fingers. It moved too easy. Valerie leaned down. "What?" I hesitated. "It's loose," I said. "Old pipes loosen. Not like this." She looked at me, then at the guest's wet towels, then at the watermark already spreading into the carpet. "Alex," she said quietly, "please don't make this stranger than it is." I wanted to argue, but I could see she did not have room in her head for anything else. So I tightened the fitting, wrapped it, checked the valve, and kept my mouth shut. By 3 in the morning, room 12 had a fan running, room 9 had a calmer guest, and the boiler had stopped banging after I bled air from the line and tapped the pressure gauge twice. Valerie sat in the lobby with wet sleeves and mascara smudged under one eye, staring at the old reservation computer like it had personally betrayed her. "I'm sorry I called you," I said. "You're supposed to call me when a room turns into a pond. I mean waking you up." She gave a short laugh without looking at me. "Alex, I own a roadside motel with plumbing from the last century. Sleep is more of an idea than a habit." I made coffee because it was the only useful thing left to do. She took the cup with both hands, and for a few minutes we just listened to rain hit the front windows. The next morning, Dale showed up. I knew his truck before I knew him. Big dark pickup, spotless even in bad weather, chrome running boards, little flag sticker on the back window. Dale Stevenson walked into the lobby like he still owned the air inside it. He had been Valerie's husband. He had also been the kind of man who smiled when people watched and tightened his mouth when they didn't. I was changing a bulb over the brochure rack when he came in. "Rough night, I hear," he said. Valerie was behind the desk with her hair brushed now, wearing a green sweater and trying to look like she had not spent half the night on a wet carpet. "News travels fast," she said. "Small town." Dale leaned on the counter. "I'm only checking on you." "No, you're not." He smiled anyway. "Valerie, this place is eating you alive. You got flooded rooms, bad reviews, taxes coming. There's still an offer on the table. Better than waiting until the bank makes the choice for you." Her face changed just a little. Not fear exactly. More like somebody had pressed on a bruise. "I'm not selling to your golf buddy's developer." "He's not my golf buddy." "You hate golf." Dale looked over at me on the stepladder. "You got the kid listening to business now?" I climbed down, holding the dead bulb. "I'm just changing a light." "Good," he said. "Stick with that." Valerie's voice went flat. "Get out, Dale." He lifted both hands like he was innocent. "Fine. But pride doesn't pay property tax." After he left, Valerie stood still for a few seconds. Then she picked up the stapler from the counter and set it down again, even though she had no papers in front of her. I did not mention the sink fitting. But over the next few shifts, little things started stacking up. A couple from St. Louis came in angry because their reservation was gone. Even though I remembered checking it 2 nights before, the computer showed nothing. Not canceled. Not moved. Just gone. Then a complaint came through the county website saying our back exit was blocked during business hours. It wasn't. I checked it every night because smokers like to prop it open with a brick. Then the camera over the back hallway went black for 23 minutes. The next morning, Valerie found the lockbox hanging open in the supply closet, though nothing obvious was missing. 2 days after that, an online review popped up saying room 6 had crawling pests and dirty sheets. I had cleaned and checked room 6 myself that afternoon because housekeeping was short. I knew it was clean. I had even replaced the mattress cover because Valerie was worried about reviews. When I showed her, she rubbed her forehead. "People lie online." "Yeah," I said. "But they guessed the room number." She looked at me then, sharp and tired. "What are you saying?" "Nothing yet." That was the truth. I did not have anything solid. I had a loose fitting, a missing reservation, a false complaint, a dead camera, and a review that felt too specific. Saying it out loud made me sound like I was trying to turn a bad motel week into a movie. So I bought a cheap spiral notebook from the gas station and started writing things down. Not fancy. Date, time, room number, what happened, who was around. I wrote when the cameras glitched. I wrote which doors were unlocked when I found them. I wrote when Dale came by, which was more often than Valerie wanted to admit. I wrote down the names on weird complaints and the times reservations vanished. The more I wrote, the less random it looked. Friday night, just after 1, the back hallway camera cut out again. I was alone in the office, eating cold fries from the diner and watching rain smear the glass doors. The camera monitor flickered, showed static, then went black in the corner marked back service. I set the fries down. The motel was quiet except for the dryer thumping in the laundry room and a semi rolling by on the highway. I grabbed my flashlight and the ring of maintenance keys, then went through the side door into the covered walkway. Rain blew under the awning and dotted my glasses. The back service entrance was near the utility room, where we kept old paint cans, filters, tools, and the breaker panel. That door was supposed to stay locked unless I was using it. It was closed. But when I crouched near the threshold, I saw fresh mud on the concrete. Not old footprints from guests. Fresh, wet, heavy tread. One set leading toward the utility entrance, then smearing back toward the lot. I aimed my flashlight across the gravel behind the motel. Nothing moved. Just rain, weeds, and the dark shape of the dumpster. I stood there with water running down the back of my neck, notebook still in my pocket, and felt my stomach go tight. The motel wasn't just falling apart. Someone was coming in. I did not tell Valerie right away, because the second I said, "Someone is sneaking in," I knew how it would sound. So I waited until the next morning, after the rain had slowed down and the guests had cleared out for breakfast. She was behind the counter with a calculator, a stack of receipts, and that look she got when numbers were giving her bad news. I stood there with my notebook in my hand like a kid about to show a report card. She glanced up. "What now?" "I think you need to see something. If it's another review, I'm not looking at it before coffee." "It's not just a review." That got her attention. I opened the notebook on the counter. At first she barely looked. I could tell she thought I had made a list of normal motel problems. Then I pointed to the dates. "Room 12 flooded after the back camera went down," I said. "The missing reservation happened the same night the supply closet lockbox was left open. The county complaint came in the morning after the back service door was found unlocked. And that room 6 review came from someone who knew the room number. But nobody stayed in room 6 that night." Valerie stared at the page. "Alex, I know." "No, you don't know." She pushed the notebook back toward me. "You're making it sound like somebody is doing this on purpose." "I think somebody might be." Her face tightened fast. "This place is old. The computer is old. People lie online. Cameras fail. Pipes fail. Everything fails. That doesn't mean there's some person hiding behind every bad thing that happens." I found mud by the service door when the camera cut out. It rained for 3 days. The mud was fresh, right at the utility entrance. She looked away toward the front windows. A truck pulled through the lot slow, tires hissing over wet pavement, then rolled back out toward the highway. For a second, I thought she was going to tell me to stop talking. Instead, she rubbed both hands over her face and said, "Do you understand how tired I am of people looking at me like I can't run my own business? I'm not doing that." "You sure?" That stung, but I kept my voice even. "Yeah, I'm sure." She looked back at me. "I'm saying maybe the reason it feels impossible is because somebody's making it impossible." She did not answer for a long time. Then she reached for the notebook again. We started after checkout, when the lobby was empty and the little breakfast counter still had crumbs under the toaster. Valerie locked the front door for 10 minutes and pulled the reservation records up on the old computer. I brought the maintenance binder from the shelf under the desk. It was not some big dramatic thing. It was me reading dates from a spiral notebook while she clicked through old bookings and muttered at the screen. "March 18th, I said. "Back camera out from 1:10 to 1:34. She clicked. "That's when room 4's heater complaint came in. I fixed that heater the day before." "I know," she said quietly. "I remember. April 2nd. Reservation vanished. Family from St. Louis." She typed, waited, then frowned. "No cancellation note. That's not normal. Can someone delete without leaving one?" "Dale could when he still had access," she said, then froze like she hated that the name had left her mouth. I did not jump on it. I just wrote it down. She leaned back in the chair. "He helped set up half this system. Back when we were still pretending we were good at being married." "Does he still know passwords?" "I changed them. All of them." She gave me a look. "I'm not stupid. I didn't say that." Her expression softened a little, but not all the way. "The first real thing we found was in the supply closet. There was a metal lockbox screwed to the inside wall where we kept extra maintenance keys. Most guests never knew it existed. Housekeeping had one key. I had one. Valerie had one. The extra copies were tagged and hung inside. Except one tag was empty. I touched it with my finger. Utility room. Valerie stood behind me, close enough that I could smell her shampoo under the laundry soap smell of the hallway. That key was there, she said. When? I don't know. Last month. Maybe 2 months ago. Who would know it existed? She gave a tired laugh. Anyone who worked here before the divorce. Dale. His cousin Ray. The plumber we stopped using because he charged like he was fixing a hospital. We checked the fake complaint again. It said the west exit was blocked by the gray laundry cart with the bent wheel. That detail made Valerie go quiet. What? I asked. She pointed toward the laundry room. That cart never goes where guests can see it. So whoever wrote it knows the back area. She nodded once like it cost her something. After that, things changed between us. Not all at once. Just enough that I noticed. She stopped brushing me off when I pointed something out. She asked me to check the locks before I went to bed. She let me sit beside her in the office while she went through receipts. Sometimes we worked until 2 or 3 in the morning, not because anyone told us to, but because neither of us wanted to leave the question alone. On Wednesday night, I fixed the little heater under her office window. It had been rattling for weeks. She sat at the desk sorting invoices, and every few minutes she would look over like she wanted to say something but didn't. Finally she said, "You're off the clock. I live behind the laundry room." That's not an answer. It kind of is. She smiled at that barely. Around midnight, I found her standing at the breakfast counter staring into an empty coffee pot. I made a fresh one. She came back 10 minutes later with a white paper bag from the diner across the road. "You eat?" she asked. "Cold vending machine crackers. That's depressing." She slid a burger toward me. I did not make a big deal about it because I could tell she would take it back if I did. We ate under the fluorescent lights while the ice machine clicked and a late semi rolled past outside. She told me about the divorce in pieces, like she was handing over things she did not want to hold anymore. Dale had wanted to sell the motel before they even split. She had fought to keep her half because her father had worked there when she was a kid, back when the sign still looked new and summer weekends actually filled the lot. Dale told everybody she kept it out of spite. "Maybe I did at first," she said, picking at a fry. "Then I realized spite gets expensive." "You still want it?" She looked around the lobby. The stained ceiling tile. The postcard rack nobody used. The bell on the desk that guests hit too hard. "Yeah," she said. "That's the part that makes me feel crazy." Is she brave or just crazy to keep fighting? Write your thoughts in the comments. You're not crazy. She looked at me then, really looked, and I felt myself sit a little straighter. You say things like that like it's easy, she said. It is easy. For you. No, I said. About you. She looked away first. The next night Dale caught me coming out of her office at almost 1 in the morning with a folder in my hand. He was standing in the side hallway, dry coat, clean boots, like he had not walked through the same muddy lot everyone else did. Busy little helper, he said. I stopped. Office is closed. I'm not a guest. No, you're not. His smile changed. Careful, kid. Valerie came out behind me. Why are you here? Wanted to talk. At 1 in the morning? Dale looked from her to me and back again. Didn't know you had company. Her face went hard. Alex was helping with records. Sure. He gave a small laugh. He's 22, Valerie. People notice things. They talk. I felt heat climb my neck. She stepped around me. Leave. I'm just saying, leaning on a boy who sleeps in your laundry room doesn't make you look more stable. For a second, nobody moved. The hum from the soda machine sounded too loud. Then Valerie opened the side door. Out. Dale walked past me slow. Hero work doesn't pay much, son. When he was gone, Valerie stood with her hand still on the door. I wanted to say something, but she looked so embarrassed that I knew anything I said would make it worse. So I just said, I'll check the back lock. She nodded without looking at me. 2 nights later, the boiler acted up again. Not enough to break, just enough to scare 3 rooms into calling the desk. I went back and found the pressure valve turned half shut. Not broken, turned. Valerie came into the laundry room while I was still crouched by the panel. Her face was pale. "Tell me that's normal," she said. I stood up slowly. "It's not." She pressed one hand against the washing machine and nodded like she had expected it, but still wasn't ready. The machines were running, warm and loud, and the room smelled like detergent and wet towels. "I can't keep doing this," she said. Her voice did not crack. She did not make a scene. She just said it quietly, like the words had slipped out before she could stop them. I stepped closer. "You are doing it." "No, I'm barely standing. There's a difference." "Valerie." She looked at me, and for once she did not look like my boss. She looked like a woman who had been holding up a wall with both hands while everyone walked by and asked why she looked tired. "I hate him for making me feel this small," she said. "You're not small. You don't know what I am. I know what I see." She gave a weak laugh. "And what's that?" I should have said something safe. Something about her being strong, or the motel, or the notes, or calling somebody in the morning. Instead I said, "I see you." That landed in the room harder than I meant it to. She looked at me for a few seconds. Then she stepped forward and kissed me. It was not careful. It was not planned. It was the kind of kiss that happened after too many late nights, too much coffee, too much fear, and too many times standing close without saying anything. I kissed her back. The dryer thumped behind us. Rain tapped against the little square window over the folding table. Her hand gripped the front of my shirt, and mine settled at her waist like I had been trying not to put it there for days. When we finally pulled apart, she kept her forehead near mine. "This is a bad idea," she whispered. "Yeah," I said. Neither of us moved away. That night crossed a line we both knew was there. Not because either of us was confused, and not because it fixed anything. Didn't. The motel still had missing keys, dead cameras, strange complaints, and Dale circling it like he already owned the place. But after that night, I was not just trying to protect my job anymore. I was trying to protect her. The next morning, everything looked normal enough to make me feel stupid for thinking it had changed. The lobby still smelled like old coffee. The neon signs still buzzed outside. Room 3 still had a toilet that ran unless you tapped the handle twice. A guy in a Tennessee sweatshirt still came to the desk at 6 asking if the waffle machine worked, even though we did not have a waffle machine and never had. But it had changed. Valerie and I tried to act like nothing had happened in the laundry room. That lasted about 10 minutes. She came behind the desk to check the drawer, brushed past me in the narrow space, and we both stopped like the air had gotten caught between us. She looked at the guest receipts. I looked at the key rack. Neither one of us said a word. Later, when I was outside changing the cracked bulb over room 7, she came out with a trash bag from the office can. "You don't have to do extra tonight," she said. "I always do extra. That's what I'm talking about." I climbed down from the ladder and wiped rainwater off my hands. "You want me to stop helping?" She looked across the parking lot, where puddles reflected the sign in broken red letters. "I want to not make your life harder. My life is a room behind a dryer and a truck that starts on the 3rd try. That isn't funny. It's a little funny." She almost smiled. Then she caught herself and went back inside. That became the way it was for a few days. Small looks, almost smiles. Her hand touching mine when she passed me a receipt. Me pretending not to watch her when she stood at the office window with a phone to her ear. We still checked locks and records. We still wrote things down. But now every late-night conversation had something under it. I wanted to stand next to her like it was simple. She knew it wasn't. Dale made sure of that. The fire code complaint came on a Thursday morning. I was half asleep in my little room when Valerie knocked on the door, sharp and fast. "Alex." I opened it wearing jeans and one sock. "What happened?" "Inspector's here." That woke me up. The inspector was a heavy-set man with a clipboard and a county jacket, standing in the lobby while Valerie explained that nobody had called her ahead of time. He said they had received a report about blocked exits, overloaded outlets, and unsafe heater wiring. Unsafe heater wiring. I looked at Valerie. She looked at me. For the next 2 hours, we walked him through the building. He was not rude, just tired and official. He checked the west exit. Clear. He checked the laundry plugs. Fine. He checked the heater in the office, the same one I had fixed, and found nothing wrong except dust. Still, he wrote notes. People with clipboards always wrote notes. When he left, Valerie stood in the lobby with her arms folded tight. "This is how it starts," she said. "What? Paper. Reports. Notices. Then the bank gets nervous. Then every buyer smells blood." I hated hearing her talk like she had already lost. That evening, a local Facebook thread started getting passed around. Someone posted a picture of our sign in the rain and wrote about how the place was falling apart. Then came comments from people who had not stayed there in years. Dirty rooms, bad heat, strange smells, bugs, rude desk, unsafe. Some of it was old. Some of it was made up. All of it spread faster than any good review ever had. By 9, 3 weekend reservations canceled. By 10, Valerie's bank called and left a voicemail she did not play in front of me. At 11, Dale came in. He had a folder under his arm and that soft voice he used when he wanted to sound reasonable. "You look worn out," he said to her. Valerie was behind the desk. I was sitting at the breakfast counter with my notebook open. She saw Dale look at it, and her face went still. "Say what you came to say," she told him. He placed the folder on the counter. The offer went up. She did not touch it. "Not by much," he said, "but enough that you could walk away without this place dragging you under." "I told you no. You told me no before the county came by, before people started talking online, before the bank started calling." Her eyes narrowed. "How do you know the bank called?" Dale paused just long enough. "I know how these things go." I stood up. "You need to leave." He turned to me like he had just noticed a dog barking. "There he is." "Dale," Valerie warned. "No, it's sweet," he said. "Really." The night clerk with his little notebook. "You feel important now?" I stepped closer, but Valerie said my name once. Low. Dale smiled because he heard it too. Heard the way she said it. Then his face changed into something uglier. "You should be careful, Valerie. A woman your age, alone with a 22-year-old employee after midnight? People won't be kind about that." Her color drained. He leaned closer. "And buyers won't be either. Neither will banks." I wanted to hit him. I didn't. I just stood there with both hands clenched at my sides. Valerie picked up the folder and pushed it back at him. "Get out." He took it, but he knew he had landed the punch he came to land. After that, she pulled away from me. Not cruelly. That would have been easier. She just got polite. Careful. She stopped staying in the lobby after midnight. She stopped bringing food. When I knocked on the office door to show her something in the records, she kept the door wide open and stood behind the desk like we were two people in a business meeting. 2 nights later, she said, "We made a mistake." I was standing by the ice machine with a screwdriver in my hand. I looked up. "Did we?" Her mouth tightened. "Don't make me say it twice. I'm not trying to make you do anything." "That's the problem. You don't have to try." She looked tired again, but different tired. Scared tired. "Dale is right about one thing. He'll use it. This town will use it. I cannot hand them another reason to laugh at me." "So I'm a reason?" She flinched. "That's not what I said. It's what it sounded like." She looked down the empty walkway. "Stop staying late in my office. Stop looking at me like that when guests can see. Please." That last word made it worse. I nodded because I did not trust myself to speak. But I did not quit. I kept doing rounds. I kept checking locks. I kept writing in the notebook even when it made me feel like an idiot with hurt feelings and a flashlight. On Saturday afternoon, I borrowed a cheap trail camera from a guy I knew at the garage. He used it for deer season and asked why I needed it. "Raccoons," I said. That night, I mounted it behind the broken lattice near the back service entrance, aimed straight at the utility door. It was not fancy. Black plastic, strap around a post, memory card inside. If anyone looked hard, they would find it. But people doing sneaky things usually watch the cameras they already know about. The regular back camera went out again Sunday at 12:48 a.m. I did not run outside this time. I stayed at the desk, wrote the time down, and waited. Nothing happened for 20 minutes. Then the boiler groaned so loudly that room 10 called the desk. By 1:30, hot water was failing in 4 rooms. I went to the utility room and found the lower panel open. A valve had been turned and a small line near the wall was dripping hard into the floor drain. Not enough to wreck the whole building, but enough to scare guests, enough to make rooms unusable, enough to ruin the holiday weekend Valerie had been counting on. She came in wearing the same coat from the night room 12 flooded. For a second, we just looked at each other over the noise of the boiler. "I can't," she said. I wanted to reach for her. I didn't. By morning, 2 more rooms had canceled, and Dale called before breakfast to say he and the developer were coming by with final papers. Valerie did not tell him no. She sat in the office with the lights off, staring at the folder he had left days before. I went to the laundry room, shut the door, and pulled the memory card from the trail camera with wet fingers. The first few clips were nothing. Rain. A cat near the dumpster. My own legs walking past. Then I saw headlights at 2:13 a.m. A dark pickup rolled behind the motel with its lights low. The driver got out in a cap and jacket, face turned away, but I knew the build. I knew the walk. Dale. He went straight to the back service door, used a key, and stepped inside like he belonged there. I sat on the folding table with the dryer thumping beside me and watched the clip 3 times. Now I had proof, and Valerie was about to give up. By 8 that morning, the rain had slowed to a thin gray mist, but the motel still looked beaten. There was a bucket near the lobby door catching a slow drip from the ceiling tile. The carpet by the hallway smelled damp. The old neon sign outside buzzed and flickered like it was tired too. I had slept maybe 20 minutes, sitting upright in the laundry room with the trail camera memory card in my hand. Valerie was in the office when I came in. She had the sale folder open on her desk. That stopped me harder than I expected. She looked up, and I could tell she already knew what I was thinking. "Don't," she said. "I didn't say anything. You don't have to." Her hair was pulled back, but pieces had come loose around her face. She was wearing a navy sweater and jeans, trying to look steady. The only thing giving her away was her hand resting flat on the folder, like she was holding herself in place. "They're coming at 9, she said. "You're really going to sign?" "I'm going to listen." "That's not what that folder says." Her eyes flashed. "Alex, I cannot keep pretending I have another plan." "You do." "No. You have a notebook. I have bills." I swallowed that because it was partly fair. I was 22. I did not have property taxes, bank calls, or Dale telling the whole town I was losing. I had a little room behind the laundry machines and a truck that might not start in cold weather. But I also had Dale on camera. So I set the memory card on her desk. She stared at it. "What is that?" "The thing that changes this." Before she could answer, tires crunched outside. Dale's truck pulled in first. Behind it came a silver sedan I had only seen once before, driven by the developer, a man named Crouch who wore clean shoes even on muddy days. He did not look like a villain. That was the worst part. He looked like a guy who made phone calls, bought land, and let other people get dirty. Valerie stood slowly. "Show me later," she said. "No." She turned on me. "Alex." "No," I said again, and this time my voice came out stronger. "Not later. Now." The front door opened before she could respond. Dale came in smiling like he owned the outcome already. Crouch followed with a leather folder tucked under one arm. He gave Valerie a polite nod and gave me nothing. "Morning," Dale said. "Hope we're not too early." Valerie stepped out from the office. "You said 9. It's close enough." It was 8:43. Crouch placed his folder on the counter. "Mrs. Stevenson, I know this is difficult, but the revised offer is clean. No delays. No drawn-out mess. You walk away with certainty." Dale leaned on the desk beside him. "That's all I've been trying to tell her." I stood near the breakfast counter with printed stills in my hand. I had used the old office printer while Valerie was staring at the sale papers. The pages were streaky because the ink cartridge was almost empty. But the truck showed. The timestamp showed. The door showed. Valerie's eyes moved to the papers. Dale noticed. "What's that?" he asked. I walked to the counter and laid the first page down. "Your truck." He laughed once. "My truck. Behind the motel. 2:13 a.m. Sunday." I put down the second page. A dark shape at the service entrance. Cap jacket. One hand at the lock. "This is you using the missing maintenance key." Dale's smile thinned. "That could be anyone." "It could," I said. "Except the camera caught the plate when you backed out." I laid down the third page. The lobby got quiet except for the drip in the bucket. Valerie stepped closer. She looked at the page, then at Dale. Her face did not fall apart. It did the opposite. It went still. I kept going before Dale could talk over me. The regular back camera cut out at 12:48. Same as the other nights. But I put a trail camera near the lattice because the regular one kept failing right before something went wrong. After you went in, the boiler panel was open, the valve was turned, and 4 rooms lost hot water. Dale pointed at me. "This kid is trying to save his free bed." "It's not free," I said. "I work for it." "Oh, you work for it." He looked at Valerie with that ugly little smile. "That what we're calling it now?" I felt my face get hot, but Valerie moved before I could. "Careful," she said. One word. Low and sharp. Dale blinked like he had not expected that. I laid out the rest. Reservation logs. Notes from the nights the camera failed. Screenshots of the fake review and the complaint about the gray laundry cart. A printout showing the complaint email tied to someone at Crouch's office. Not proof of everything, but enough. More than enough for a small lobby off a wet highway. Crouch picked up that page and looked at it too long. "I don't know anything about this," he said. Dale turned on him. "Don't start." Crouch took one step back from the counter. "I said I don't know anything about this." Valerie looked at Dale. "You did this." He scoffed. "I tried to help you. That's what I did." "You loosened a pipe in room 12. You can't prove that. You deleted reservations. You don't even understand your own computer. You made me think I was losing my mind." That one shut him up for half a second. Then he leaned in, red creeping up his neck. "You were losing this place with or without me. You just needed someone to blame because you can't admit I was right." Valerie reached for the phone on the counter. Dale's eyes dropped to it. "What are you doing?" "Calling the sheriff." Crouch lifted both hands. "Mrs. Stevenson, let's not turn this into..." She looked at him. "Get your papers off my counter." He did not argue. He gathered his folder, fast but controlled, like a man stepping away from a fire before anyone saw smoke on his sleeves. Dale stayed. "You think this makes you look strong?" he said. "Standing here with some boy who sleeps next to your washing machines?" For the first time since I knew her, Valerie did not flinch when he said it. "No," she said. "Keeping this place while you tried to bury it makes me strong. Letting you talk me into doubting myself was the weak part." His jaw worked. She pointed at the door. "Get out of my motel, Dale." He looked around the lobby like he wanted someone to take his side. There was nobody. Just me, Valerie, the bucket, the bad coffee, and his own truck sitting outside in the wet lot. He stepped close to the counter. "You'll regret this." "Maybe," she said, "but it'll be my mistake, not yours." He left hard, shoving the door open so fast the bell above it snapped against the glass. Nobody spoke until his truck pulled out. Valerie kept her hand on the phone but did not dial yet. Then she looked at me, really looked at me, not like her employee, not like the guy who fixed pipes, like someone she had almost pushed away because she was scared. "I almost signed," she said. "But you didn't. Because you wouldn't let me." "No," I said. "Because you saw him." She nodded, but her eyes were wet now. I wanted to step toward her. I didn't. Not yet. "We have to fix something else," I said. She knew what I meant. Her shoulders dropped a little. "I know." I can't keep being your employee and whatever I am to you when nobody's looking. You're not whatever, she said. That hit me harder than I expected. She came around the counter, close enough that I could see how tired she was, and how awake she looked at the same time. You're moving out of the laundry room, she said. I gave a small laugh. That easy? No, none of this is easy. She wiped under one eye with her thumb. But it's clean. You can take repair work here as a contractor when I need it, and Bobby at the garage already told me he'd hire you if you asked. I'll call him myself if you want. You planned that? I thought about it, she said. Then I got scared. And now, she looked toward the door Dale had gone through. Now I'm done letting fear run the desk. The next morning, the storm was gone. The sky was pale, the highway shone in strips where the sun hit it, and the motel looked rough but still standing. Room 12 needed carpet work. The boiler needed a real service call. The back camera was still out. None of it was fixed. But the sign was. I was on a ladder by the porch, tightening the cover over the front light, when Valerie came outside with 2 coffees. She had on jeans, boots, and a red flannel jacket, and for the first time in days, she looked like she had slept. She handed me a cup. Then she walked to the office window and flipped the sign back to vacancy. I climbed down, holding the coffee between both hands.